Hello ladies and gentlemen of NinBuzz, welcome back to Community Choice. My name is Shadow of Resho Gaming, and today we're tackling probably one of my most favorite series of all time, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. Last week we asked you guys what your favorite chapter was from that game, and the results were actually kind of similar to what I originally thought they were going to be, but they were a tad bit different. I expected number 1 by a long shot, but the rest of them were pretty interesting. So let's just go ahead and jump right into number 5. We have the last chapter in the game, Chapter 8, The Thousand Year Door, at 5% of the votes. That was a mouthful. Chapter 8 is the final chapter of the game. It's where everything just starts to come together. You get to figure out what the X-Nauts were planning the entire game. You get to actually figure out what's behind the Thousand Year Door, which you're trying to accomplish the entire game. And you know, you think it's just gonna be like a little bit of a treasure, but no, it's a whole nother stage. Like, it's a giant palace. It's been untapped for about 1,000 years, so of course there's gonna be a lot of crap in there. And my god, there's a lot of stuff to explore, and this story just starts to piece together. You kind of start to understand everything, and then you get to actually rescue Peach from the clutches of the Shadow Queen, and that fight is probably one of the most intense fights of the entire game. It's probably one of the most epic boss music tracks in that game, and the whole battle does not disappoint, and the ending is just beautiful. It sucks that it only got the number 5 spot, but I do understand why, because there are some pretty good chapters in this game. One of them being number 4, not the chapter number 4, but number 4, which is Chapter 5, coming in at 10% of the votes. Now, I kind of think that everybody voted for this chapter just because of Bombry, and if you don't know Bombry, he's one of the partners that you can get in the game, and his backstory is just heart-wrenchingly sad, and it just makes you want to cry when you get to actually know what happened to him. Although this chapter in itself is actually pretty cool, it actually breaks the fourth wall a lot in this chapter. There's about probably like 4 times in this chapter alone that the fourth wall is broken, and it's pretty funny. The main point of this chapter is that you're trying to get the 5th crystal star, and you get shipwrecked, and you have to go search the island that you're stuck on for the 5th star. And of course, being a pirate-themed chapter, it only makes sense that it's on a pirate ship surrounded by a lot of treasure, guarded by a dead pirate captain, Cortez, right? Right? Because that makes sense. I mean, it's Mario, so it really doesn't matter. Had a lot to say about that chapter, but let's see what I can say about number 3 at Chapter 4 at 14% of the votes. I don't know why I struggled with that one, but I did. Chapter 4 is personally one of my second favorite chapters. I was really hoping it would get higher, but for good reasons, it got number 3. Chapter 4 starts out in Twilight Town, where everyone's getting turned into a pig because a bell's ringing for some reason. I don't understand. So you have to go all the way up to Creepy Steeple to find out why the bell is ringing and stop it from happening, and of course you find Dupless there, ringing the bell for whatever reason, and hence the easiest boss fight in the entire game. You whoop his butt, and then the town's saved, but everything isn't as it seems because Dupless stole your body and you're just a shadow now. Connections, right? So eventually, after a lot of backtracking, and I mean a lot of backtracking, and after all that backtracking, you get to meet Vivian, and I personally like when you get to have villain characters in your party, air quotes around the villains, because they're characters who are bad in the beginning of the game, but later on in the game they realize their mistakes and they don't want to do it anymore, so they join you, and I always personally like that. I think it's a really cool revelation when characters do that, and what makes this chapter even more awesome is you actually get to fight all of your party members. Dupless posing as Mario makes your party think that he is actually Mario, so when you actually fight Mario, all your party members side with him, and you actually get to fight all of them, which is really cool. It's the only time in the game you actually get to fight them, so you actually get to see what they can do against you, and they do not hold up very well. Alright, now we're going to move on to the number 2 spot. This spot I actually thought was going to be quite a contender, but actually it got shot down pretty fast. Coming in at 20% of the votes, we have Chapter 6, 3 Days to Excess. Chapter 6 is a really cool chapter. The whole chapter is revolved around a murder mystery train ride on the Excess Express. Because what else are you going to do on a train? I mean, the whole point of the train is to get to where you need to go to get the Crystal Star. but it's 3 days on a train, so there's not much else to do, so might as well solve a mystery or two. And of course, once you find out who committed the crime, it's none other than Dupless in disguise, of course. So you arrest him and get back on the train, and from there, of course, you think it's all easy going, there's nothing else that could happen, but then out of nowhere, the Smorgs kidnapped everybody on the train, and you have to go scale to the top of the train, jump over the cars, and fight a giant black enemy goo thing called the Smorg. It's kind of a lamer boss battle in my opinion, but it's still pretty good. The rest of the chapters kind of establish the boss character, but chapter 6 is just kind of like, here's a boss, just go fight him. That's my only complaint with that chapter. It's personally my third favorite chapter, just behind chapter 4 and the number 1 spot, which is, have you guessed it yet? Because you should. It's chapter 3 of Glitz and Glory, coming in at 50% of the votes. Holy crap, this chapter is amazing. The whole theme of this chapter is a fighting arena where the champion's belt is the crystal star itself. So Mario has to enter into this tournament bracket thing, and he starts all the way down at the bottom. He has to work all the way up to the top, where he has to fight Rock Hawk, the current champion of the Glitz Pit. But once you beat him, you figure out that it's all a scam, and none of this is true. This crystal star is fake, and the manager Grubba was behind the entire thing. He was stealing all of the fighters', I guess, energy or something, so he would never age and look beautiful or some weird crap like that. But once you defeat Grubba, you free all of the spirits or souls or bodies or whatever that were trapped inside of Grubba or the Crystal Star. I'm really not sure on the specifics of this. The Glitz Pit still continues to do what it does, the fighting arena is still there, and if you actually want to compete in the fighting arena again, you can start all the way back from the bottom, go all the way back up to the top. It's just kind of, it's not necessary to complete the game, but it's still really fun to do. And it feels really satisfying when you go into your inventory and you see the champion's belt just sitting there, so you can gloat to people that you actually did it. Well, alrighty then, I hope everyone's chapter got the spot they wanted it to. But moving on to next week's question, I'm going to go back and ask you guys a Fire Emblem related question again, just because if you haven't seen the box art for Fire Emblem If yet, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So what I'm going to ask you guys is, what is your favorite character that's a Lord class? Now, Lords in Fire Emblem are usually the main characters of the game, so those would be like characters like Roy, or Marth, or Eliwood, Chrom, Lucina, Erica. Anyone who has the possibility of becoming a Lord class in the game, you can go ahead and vote for. So go ahead and leave that in the comments below, and we will go and cover it next week on the new community choice. But before you click away from this video, let me tell you about NinBuzz and how you should subscribe to them, because they're awesome and Nintendo content, blah 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 blah. And then make sure to follow them on Twitter, where they actually do post things and they're not dead. See what I did there? Continuity from last episode? Go me. And then if you like this stupid voice right now, you can follow me on Twitter at Resho Wolf, or you could be even better and subscribe to my personal YouTube channel at Shadow Resho Gaming. It's going to be at the end of the video and in the description below. So go ahead and do that, because I need as much attention as I can get. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week on the new community choice.